all doing well. My name is Fabian Dolan. This is how I got good at guitar. If you're interested in lessons, please check the link below in the description. I'll help you become a much more advanced guitar player. Anyway, backing track by Now You Shred. This cool one here. Jam in like C minor. Check it out. Follow me on Instagram if you're interested. Right. Today, we have a video on lead guitar and how it's basically the same as rhythm guitar, right? You want to be thinking the same way as a rhythm player whilst you're playing lead, whilst you're soloing, right? So we're going to cover what each role does, why you need to get good at rhythm in order to be very good at lead, and how rhythm should influence your improvisation. So let's crack into it. First off, before we start, who is this video for? This video is for musicians who want to learn. This is educational content, not entertainment, right? So if you want to watch TikTok, go do that instead, right? This is for guitarists who struggle with good phrasing. If you want to expand your improvisation and sound more tasteful when you play, I think this might be a helpful video for you. And this is for people that want to be able to hold their own in a solo performance, right? So if you have no accompaniment and it's just you and the guitar, this is something that's going to be able to help you out to make that sound a lot more professional, right? So we need to first distinguish what is lead and what is rhythm. What is the difference between the two of them, right? So the role of a rhythm section is to keep a good sense of timing for the band. So like, so the people on top, like the singers and the melody players, have a nice foundation to kind of just roam freely, right? This is what the rhythm is for, is to keep the band tight and a good groove kind of locked and going, right? So a drummer does this with their drum kit by only using rhythm, right? They can't use any melody or harmony. They're purely rhythm, right? And a bassist does this by using the lower register of the instrument to lay down a foundation of harmony alongside rhythm, right? So you've got like bass notes to like imply what chords are being played over the top, right? They usually play like root notes, right? But they'll do this in a rhythmic way which matches up with the snare or the kick drum of the drummer, right? They're all locked in together, right? So again, two instruments, both using rhythm. As a guitarist, our job is to lock in with this and lay down rhythm and then use the mid to high register of an instrument to imply harmony or chords, right? So if I take that example right there, right? Again, I just kind of made that up on the spot. I don't know if it's the best example, right? But yeah, I'm kind of using rhythm and then these triads, locking in with that rhythm to imply harmony on a kind of mid/higher register. Again, like a bass would be really down the low end, and you can imagine on an actual bass, I'm using a guitar right now, it would sound a lot deeper and lower, right? So as you can see, even with all these instruments, rhythm is an essential element for all instruments, right? You can't overlook this element. It's one of the most foundational parts of music. If you have no rhythm, you're going to sound terrible. Like, you're just going to be playing a load of random assorted notes that don't really fit together, and it's just going to sound like a hot mess. Like, no one's going to like it, right? And lead playing is rhythm, but instead of using harmony, we use melody, right? So instead of playing chords, we're playing like melody lines, like right. Again, that's just like an example I came up with on the spot. Again, it doesn't sound like the best piece of music ever, right? It's not like some groundbreaking piece of music, right? It's just something that just came right to my head as I read that, right? But that's the idea, right? You're still using rhythm whilst you're playing a melody, right? It's a foundational element that you cannot overlook, right? You can't get away with having a bad sense of rhythm. So, we've gone over what each role does. Now, why you need good rhythm in order to play good lead lines. Right, let's go over this. You can't get this is why you need to get good at rhythm, right? You can't get away with bad rhythm, but you can get away with bad pitch. What do I mean by that, right? You can play the wrong note at the right time, as in like in the right time of the band. Like let's say you play it on the quarter note on the dot, right? And you can play the wrong note that's in the wrong key over the wrong chord. But if you play it at the right time, it can still sound okay. You're never going to be able to play the right note over the right chord in the right key that is out of time and have it sound good. It's always going to sound amateur and unprofessional if you play it out of time. No matter if it's the perfect melody note that would sound as harmonious as possible, if it is not in time with the band, it's still going to sound sloppy, right? So the ability to lock in with the rhythm section is what's going to make you sound like a professional. It's what distinguishes you from an amateur musician, right? So we can't overlook the idea of rhythm, right? This is probably the most important aspect of music, right? So this should be part of our practice, is learning how to get better rhythm. If you've never done this before, start with using a metronome, right? Just run your scales through a rhythm, just like 1, 2, 3, 4. Just try playing on the dot as perfectly as possible. And again, go slow when you start. If you've never done this before, this can be quite frustrating. Now, once you get used to that for a bit, move on to either playing with a band, with people, that's ideally the best way, or playing alongside recordings or backing tracks, and making sure you're in time with that, right? And another thing that I like to practice as well that I've been doing recently is pretending that I'm a drummer on the guitar. So what I'll do is I'll try and play a drum groove with just my hands, like... Right, and once you can kind of do that with muted strings, you can use your fretting hand to kind of play chords over the top of it, like... You get the idea, right? But it's important to be able to kind of think like a drummer and try and do that on the instrument as well, right? The way I'm thinking about it is I'm using the E, A, and D string as kind of like a kick drum, and then the higher strings are kind of like a snare. So if I do a basic like you get the idea, right? You can apply that to the instrument as well once you start adding in like notes, melodies, and chords and stuff like that, right? I think that's quite an interesting practice tool. I've been using that quite a bit recently, and again, that's going to be something that's going to help you with your solo performances as well. So when you're just playing by yourself, being able to kind of hold the drums down by acting as a drummer whilst also playing like melody and harmony with your fretting hand is going to make you sound like a kind of whole band in just one person. You're going to be able to really hold your own, right? So we also need to learn how to comp. What is comping? Again, if you've never heard this word before, the way I like to think about it is improvising like the harmony, the harmonic kind of underlying background of a chord progression, right? So what does that really mean? It's just like improvising how we play a chord progression. So we can change the rhythm a bit, we can use inversions, or we can add extension tones, right? So if I've got a chord progression that's like, let's give just like, let's go from B major to A major. Right, so I'm using this shape here, then going up to an inversion, and then going up to the inversion again, right? So you just play around with your inversions, improvise over that, add extension tones over the top, so like... So that's kind of like how you want to be comping, right? You want to learn how to play triads. You want to learn how to invert those triads. And then how to add extension tones over that. Which is basically just the chords, the notes that are inside the scale of those chords, right? So if you know your major scale, just add the major scale notes in that key. And you'll get like extension tones, like you'll be able to play a chord like that instead of... Right? And then just kind of playing around with the rhythm a bit, right? I want to give you a really good example of comping right here. Let's listen to John Mayer play here, right? Let's go back a bit.
But you could go E.
Listen how he's going around the fretboard. He's going from inversions. He's using like roots, then like second inversion, first inversion, going over like extension tones, playing kind of small melodies underneath it. But ultimately, he's still just playing a chord progression, right?
You can keep playing the chords underneath it.
So yeah, he's just playing chords, but he knows how to use his instrument and kind of get the most out of it, and it gives us this good kind of comping kind of sound. So you want to be able to learn how to do that, right? That's what's going to make rhythm quite fun as well, right? I think people have this idea that rhythm is just going like... Right, just playing chords. But the reality is that you can actually make chords very interesting if you know how to kind of, again, use inversions and add extension tones, and if you've got a good sense of rhythm, right, you can make this quite fun and interesting, right? So how do we use rhythm to influence our lead playing, right? Most important thing is use your ears before you start playing, right? If you have a solo, just take like a bar or two just to listen to what the band's playing. Listen to what the bass player is doing, and especially what the drummer is doing with the kick and the snare, and then think about how you could complement that, how you could fit in between it and make it sound good, right? Yeah, so just listen to what the rhythm section is providing you and think first before playing any notes, right? Once you've done this, start by establishing a rhythmic phrase. Just only play a few notes, right? And when I say a few notes, that means like just choose one note, but you can kind of like do whatever rhythm you want with it, like technically that's a lot of notes because there's a lot of rhythm there, but I'm not moving the melody or the harmony around at all, right? It's just staying on that one fret, right? Once we've made a rhythmic connection with the band, we can then use our melody and experiment and kind of go off the rails a bit. But the most important thing to do is stay rhythmically connected, right? If you've been doing the last step and practicing over a metronome a bit more, or playing with kind of recordings and stuff like that, and kind of locking in with a band, this is going to be a bit easier for you. Again, if this is still outside of your reach, again, go back to that step. Make sure you do that a bit first. Work on that a bit, right? But yeah, I'll give you an example of like how I'm going to do this here, right? So we've got another backing track here. It looks like it's in D minor. Yeah, and I'll go over this, right? Just start with establishing a rhythmic phrase. So okay, let's see what I can do. Again, quite simple. I found a rhythm that kind of works and clicks in, right? And let's see how we can exploit that. Again, I'm kind of sticking with that motif, right? This idea of just the... And then try moving that same rhythm to a different melody, right? So just go to choose different notes this time, right? Do the same rhythm, apply it to somewhere else. Let's see how that sounds, right? Again, keep the same kind of rhythm, and then just for a tiny bit of variety, do like a tiny different phrase with a different bit of rhythm. Add a bit of like change and flavor into it, right? But keep the same kind of idea going. Make sure that you can lock in with the groove first, and then you can kind of do whatever you want over the top of that. But yeah, the most important part is being able to play a good rhythm, right? Now I'm going to show you an example of bad rhythm, and you tell me what sounds better, right? It's actually kind of hard for me to do bad rhythm at the moment. Let me try and give a bad example. Again, that might not have been good because I don't really know how to. It's kind of difficult to do something terribly once you've kind of practiced it a lot on how to do it good. But yeah, like you'll be able to hear someone that doesn't have a good sense of rhythm kind of go over a solo, and they think, oh, if I play this lick and I play this really cool phrase where I have this like really cool tapping lick and stuff like that. Like no. Just get good at playing one note first, and stay rhythmically connected. Once you can do that, then you just have to expand it a bit on the scale shape that you already know, right? And just kind of... So yeah, let me quickly show you here. Again, just this pentatonic scale, right? Right? So kind of just stick to one rhythm. Don't abandon it so quickly, and then just add tiny bits of variations, and then go back to it. And then it's going to sound like a lot more interesting solo. And that's essentially just playing rhythm, but using melody instead, right? Because like you can imagine if you were the guitarist playing the chords over that, you'd just be going like... Right? You're kind of just keeping the same rhythm going, right? You kind of want to do that for lead playing as well, but then just change the melody. Don't abandon a good rhythm so quickly, right? So we've gone through what each role does. So what separates a rhythm guitarist and a lead guitarist. It's kind of deceptive because again, both of them need good rhythm. Why you need to get good rhythm in order to play good lead, and how rhythm can and should influence your improvisation. So, thank you for watching. Well done for making it to the end. If you found this useful, subscribe. Got the Instagram there as well. Check the link in the descriptions for lessons as well. Right. Hope you found it useful, and take care.